Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. I'd like to welcome you, dear viewers, to another in our series, In the Light of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And God's peace and blessings be on each and every one of you. This program, dear viewers, is one provided for you as a forum to answer your questions. You're welcome to write in, to email, fax, to mail letter to us, and I will only be too glad to try to answer them for you. In this series, we're looking at a series of emails which have been coming. They've been piling up over the past months. We'd like to share them with you. The first email concerning from Sister Hamida. She's emailing from New York City, and she writes concerning certain questions. The ruling of a wife in a fit of rage. She coerces her husband to pronounce divorce. The husband unwillingly does so, but regrets after Satan leaves her. She is distraught. Is this a valid pronouncement? Now, first and foremost, this talaq is valid if all of the conditions were in place concerning talaq. I mean, talaq, whether, it is in a period of purity, whether he's had sexual relations with her in that same period, etc., etc. If all these other principles are in place, then the talaq is valid. The issue of coercing her husband, that is irrelevant. If he agrees and pronounces divorce, then that is a valid divorce pronouncement. It doesn't mean if it is the first time it's been done, of course it can be taken back. But the point is that that pronouncement is counted. If the period passes after that of 3 months or 3 monthly cycles, then the divorce is complete. They're no longer husband and wife. If the husband changes his mind, or she regrets and begs him to take her back, and he takes her back or whatever, before that the 3 months of 3 menses takes place, then she remains his wife. But it is counted as one divorce pronouncement. That process may be repeated a second time, and if it's repeated on a third occasion, then there is no taking back the divorce. The two are divorced on a relatively permanent basis, unless she remarries someone else and that marriage ends legitimately. Second question. Can a woman in jilbab and khimar teach adolescent boys and lecture in colleges and schools? The answer is basically that if she's teaching something which no male is capable of teaching, then yes. Otherwise, Islamically, this is not an advisable situation, where a woman now is standing in front of males. They're all staring at her because they're listening to the lesson. The young men, young boys, whatever. I mean, this is just encouraging, possible corruption. So from an Islamic perspective, this is not an ideal circumstance, only acceptable where she is imparting knowledge which nobody else has. It's necessary for her to do so, otherwise this knowledge would not be imparted. Third question. Female practicing doctors need to know how to deal with touching male parts, lower body examinations in their practice. Well, this is a problem. And it is vice versa, for a male doctor to be involved in touching the private parts of females. This is forbidden in Islam. And the only time that this would become permissible is in the case of a medical emergency. Now, a woman to get, unfortunately, in the process of gaining medical degrees today, A woman will have to go through this process. She will have to be involved in it directly. Right? Not enough for her even just to see it, but in most medical schools in the world, they require her to do these things. I mean, in Malaysia, we have medical colleges there which do take into account, these differences, female requirements, etc., and allow the woman to go through her studies without that aspect. She may see it on, visually on television or something like this, so she has an idea of what is involved, and she reads the explanation, etc., but she's not required unless, an emergency arises. So a woman trying to gain this knowledge, if she's gaining this knowledge for the purpose of benefiting the Muslim community where they need female doctors, this is the circumstances under which it is justifiable for her to go through this training. But now once she goes into practice, now her practice should be amongst women. It should be amongst women. And of course, even touching the private parts of women is of course forbidden also Islamically, except where medical need arises. So, obviously the evil or the harm is greater when it's involving different males and females than it is when it is males and males or females and females. So, my advice, of course, is that such a woman, if she graduates as a doctor, she should be working with females. Fourth question. What is your opinion on female genital mutilation? This issue is being misused by highly qualified Muslim feminists. Well, what is generally referred to as female genital mutilation, commonly practiced by Muslims in Egypt, Sudan, and some other countries, is haram. It is not Islam. It's not from Islam. Circumcision, which consists of, from Islamic perspective, consists of removing a small piece of flesh from the head of the clitoris, something even less than in the case of male circumcision, was approved by the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Not prescribed, but approved. Those who oppose this aspect may just as well oppose the circumcision of males. And you do find people out there saying, why circumcise the males? Of course, there have been various reports, showing that the incidence of, cancer in males is less where they're circumcised. And actually in recent reports, there's a huge body of material being gathered now showing that males, who are circumcised also are less susceptible to AIDS than males who are not. Although, the process of getting AIDS through sexual relations, of course, is usually a forbidden process because this is, people having relations with prostitutes, etc. But from research data which has been gathered, there has been some reports coming out of scholars, British researchers who were working in Kenya and Uganda, that they came to this conclusion based on the statistics. Another question. Females lecturing and teaching males in niqab. Is this permissible? As I said, this is basically the same as the issue of female teaching adolescents. Whether they're adolescents or they're adult males, it's basically the same. Can one repeat the adhan with watches and say dua like what is said after the muadhin? Meaning, if you have a clock, which instead of chiming at the time of prayers, the adhan is played. It has a recording in it and on a chip or it's on a tape, whatever, and the adhan is played. Can we recite after hearing each portion of the adhan? The question is really, why not? What stops it? The fact that it's not a live voice, that we can't do it, I think in my opinion it's permissible to do so. just as if one heard it on the radio, for example. When it comes over the radio, one may, as the Prophet said, that, when the adhan is made, each stanza or section of it, when we hear it, we repeat what is said. And I don't think this is limited only to the live voice. Question: was Hajar the wife of Prophet Ibrahim?